Hello crafters, Nicole here, and I'm back with two new projects for you utilizing two sketches from our archive. I wanted to show you how to create a few different floral arrangements using the Book Engravings stamp set, and we're going to create a beautiful antique look just like you might find in the inside cover of an old book. Welcome to Sketch Starters with Nicole. Here's the two sketches we're going to be using for both of these projects. They look really familiar because I've used them before. If you want to check out the original projects, I've got those links in the description below. I'm going to start off with the backgrounds and show you this really neat tone-on-tone technique. I have the color block triangle stencil in place, and I only want to use the center strip so that it will match the sketch that I'm trying to follow. I'm going to color in that center section using Dewdrops ink and my ink blending tool. I'll just go ahead and ink this up like normal, but because I have those sides masked, of course the triangles are only going to appear in this little center strip. Once I have that center strip completed, you can see that it looks absolutely beautiful. However, the white looks really too stark for me. I'm trying to go for a vintagey look, so I need to tone this down a lot. So to do that, I'm taking the Dewdrops ink and going over the entire panel until it gets a nice shade of dewdrops that's slightly lighter than the shade that the triangles created. This definitely tones down any of the brightness from the white, but gives it all a really coordinated look. For my second background, I'm going to do the same thing, except I'm going to be basing this off of my second sketch. So instead of having a pattern on the bottom, like the sketch indicates, I'd like to have the pattern on the top. I am going ahead and masking off the bottom, and I'm going to do this same technique, except I'll be using Moon Rock and brown inks this time. So I'm going to go ahead and ink this up with the On the Plus Side stencil and get all of those plus signs nice and dark using the Moon Rock ink. And then I will come back and lightly go over the entire panel again with Moon Rock in order to tone down all that white and give it a gorgeous tone-on-tone finish. This is a really easy technique that you can do with any stencil and any ink. And the great thing is you don't need two coordinating inks. All you need is one. Your first one is going to be darker in the stencil. The second one is going to be done more lightly and all over the paper, creating that gorgeous tone-on-tone effect. Now that I have the backgrounds complete, it's time to work on all of the flowers that I'm going to need for both of these projects. I have all of the flowers and the leaves set up in my MISTI, and I'm going to be using Lava Rock for the outline image. I don't want these to be a stark black. I want them to look nice and vintagey. I can almost smell the old books that these are coming from. So I'm going ahead and stamping the outline image once, and then I'm going to flip over my cardstock here and do the same thing. So that way I have plenty of flowers to choose from as I'm working on both arrangements. With both outline sets complete, I can now get into the detail layers. This particular stamp set does not have a lot of detail to it, so we are going to do a little bit of ink blending after we're done here to, again, create that nice mellow look. With these particular stamps, there is a lot of background stamping on here, so I went ahead and primed my stamps with the stamp conditioner, so that way the ink really sticks to the stamp without beading up. As you can see here, there's a really nice coating of crimson ink. It's not beading up, and I'm only going to have to stamp this once, which is totally worth priming my stamp every time. So with those beautiful results, I'm going to go ahead and flip over my cardstock, clean off my stamps, recondition them, and now do the same process in yellow ochre. The crimson flowers and leaves will be used for one card, and the yellow ochre flowers and leaves are going to be used for the second card. It's easy enough to stamp them all at the same time on the same piece of cardstock, and as you see in a minute here, I'm going to have this all cut in half anyway. With both base colors done, I just need to add a little bit of detail to the flowers with those detail layers that are available in the stamp set. I'm not going to bother using the little center pieces. They don't really add much for this particular look, so I decided to omit them. For these second detail layers, I'm using Lava Rock ink, and again, I did condition the stamps just to make sure that I only have to stamp once. This really helps cut down on any whoopses that you might have if your cardstock isn't aligned when you go to restamp. So I'm adding in the second layer, and it might seem odd that I'm using lava rock instead of one of the darker shades from the ink cube families. However, I really think it gives more of a shadowy look and something a little bit more on par with what you might find in a classic book engraving look. So all I have to do is flip over my cardstock and do the same thing to the crimson side. I'm using, again, the same lava rock. It works equally well for both of these flower colors. So now that I have all of that stamping done, you can see there is a lot of white. And of course, when I die cut these, there is going to be white too. And I don't want that stark contrast against these beautifully blended background panels. So I'm going to do some more blending in order to tone down that white color. I could have gone for colored cardstock, but I really wanted the nice smooth texture that I get with a classic white tight weave cardstock. So for the yellow ochre flowers and leaves, I am using hazelnut ink, and I'm just going over the slightly same way that I did on the background panels. It just needs a little kiss of that hazelnut in order to take that white edge off of the cardstock. So on the crimson flowers, I'm going to use blush ink, and that is going to create the same kind of look. It's going to pink up those flowers and leaves, get rid of those harsh white lines that you would see otherwise, and really make this whole thing come together in an antique look. Now that I have these finished and die cut, you can see how gorgeous these flowers look with that shade of color behind them instead of the white. I have a couple of sentiment strips that I pre-stamped from the same stamp set, so everything is ready to go. This first card design is going to be from Sketch 11, and that has the strip down the center and a little box off to the right. I'm going to use the flower here and the triple leaf to create that little box shape in the corner. This is a very simple way to arrange your flowers with just one bud and one leaf or leaf set. It's classic, it's easy to do. All you have to do is offset your flower and your leaf, and you have a perfect little arrangement every time. So for this one, I decided to leave everything flat on the card base. The leaf is glued down flat to the card base, and now I've glued the flower down as well. And I'm going to take the sentiment strip and just tuck it up right underneath the flower to give it all kind of a unified feeling. I'm using the grid on my work surface to make sure that I have that strip exactly lined up with the card and I don't have any wonkiness going on here. Then all I need to do is snip off that excess and the card is basically done. I wanted to add a little bit of bling, so I've put in some of the satin white sequins to create a final look. Now, sequence and embellishment placement is a task that I know some of you find difficult. I find that if I just do a grouping of 3 or a triangular pattern, I cannot go wrong. So in most instances, I do a very tight triangle. I've got the large and the small sequence together, and then the medium sequence is off to the side on its own. And you can see that the 3 of them make a very tight triangular pattern with each other. I find that works every time. For the second project, I like to create a little bit more of a line between the stenciled and non-stenciled area. So I'm taking some of this gold washi and I'm going to put it right across. And the plus signs give me the perfect line to line that up with. I don't really have to work too hard. So I'm just going to flip that over and finish my washi and get that attached to the card base. Now, this is sketch number 13. It has a large oval towards the bottom, so I'm going to make a larger arrangement with my flowers. I'm not going to use all of the flowers that I have prepared, but I did do all of them just in case I decided I needed some extra foliage to pop into my arrangement. So as you can see, I placed down my arrangement first to make sure that I'm going to be able to fit everything, and then I like the way that it looks. I kind of tentatively thought that the thank you sentiment might go down in the lower right, but in a minute here you're going to see I put it somewhere else. So I've got my flowers all prepped, and I've decided that I'm going to pop these guys up. So the 2 flowers and the little leaf set are going to get glued together so they become a single element. And once I have those in place, I'm going to take my sentiment strip and figure out a different location for that. I thought it was kind of predictable that it would be down in the lower right, so I wanted to do something a little more fun and parallel off of that gold strip of washi. So I've got my sentiment strip now off on the upper left, and it's kind of paralleling with the washi and the horizontals on the plus signs. They all kind of play really well together. So it's really important at this point to make sure that I have things kind of set up the way that I want them. If I just randomly placed the thank you behind the flowers, they might not have fit on the card exactly the way I wanted them to. So I really tried to get that aligned. So on the very end here, I've got some foam tape all over my flower arrangement. And right here, I just need to make sure that that thank you is nice and parallel with the washi tape and the plus signs, and everything else falls into place. For some finishing touches, of course, I'm going to add in some more sequins. These are the antique gold sequins. And again, I'm going to put them in a kind of a triangular pattern. This is almost more of a straight line pattern, as I put that third sequence off to the right, just a little away from the other two. So as you can see, using circular elements or sketches can really help you kind of decide how your floral arrangement is going to look. And these two are really classic shapes that will work almost every time you're trying to arrange a flower setting. If you were inspired by these antique looking cards, please do give me a comment down below. I'd love to hear what you liked about these projects. When you use any of the techniques I shared in this video, I'd love to see what you've created. So don't forget to give me a shout out on social media at Pixel Mavens Retreat. I truly love inspiring you, and I'm so glad that you chose to spend a few minutes of your day with me. I'll be back soon with more fresh sketches and projects, but until next time, happy crafting.
Hello there! Did that video just spark your creativity? And do you want more project ideas and inspiration videos too? Well, if you do, please make sure that you subscribe to the Alternate YouTube channel. Also, make sure that you do click that notification bell so you don't miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye bye!